Hello and good morning, Remax. It's Cleve Gaddis, one of your fellow Remax Center agents, and I'm delighted to be coming to you this morning. I'm recording this via Zoom, so hopefully I will be able to figure out how to do it. If I mess up, just be patient with me. And I'm actually coming off of a cold. I'm hoping that I'm at the last day or two. So if I start a cough fit during the middle of covering this information with you, just bear with me. I'm going to pull a little presentation up. Joanne asked me to share an update with you on sort of what's going on in the real estate market in Metro Atlanta. And so let me see if I can make this work. I've got to give this presentation to a group of closing attorneys tomorrow. And so I'm just going to kind of carve out, if you will. Let me share this screen. I'm going to let's see here. I'm going to carve out a little bit of the presentation and cover it with you. Forgive me, I'm not actually going to actually let the PowerPoint play. We'll just kind of walk through the slides together, and hopefully you can see everything. But let's do a little market update. So Joanne wanted to know, where is the market today, and what do agents need to be thinking about in terms of moving forward? What do we need to talk about with our clients? What do we need to say and do to help buyers and sellers make the best decisions in terms of selling or buying or staying put or moving forward or doing some renovations or whatever? And I'm not sure that I'm going to give you all of the information you need, but maybe I'll give you half of the information you need to help your clients make better decisions. Let's talk a little bit. First of all, single family detached closings. That is not the condos and the townhomes year to date in Atlanta, or excuse me, this is a projection for all of 2019. We've taken where we are through the end of September. We've kind of extrapolated that out based on last year's numbers, based on 2018's numbers, to project where we think we'll be at the end of 2019. Hopefully that's not too many details, but we're trying to project ourselves where we think the market will end up. And you can see here that we believe we will be at 73,873 single family detached homes sold in Metro Atlanta. This is statistics from the First Multi-Listing Service, which is an increase of 1.14% over 2018. So just barely an increase, still an increase, but barely an increase. This is average sales price, and this is through the end of September. The average sales price of a single family detached home in Metro Atlanta, $320,268, which is up 3.6% over 2018, over the full year of 2018. A couple of interesting statistics here. The market is up 91.6% since 2011, when average single family detached homes sold for 176,000. That's amazing. So all of your clients have lots and lots of equity today compared to 2011. And the prior all-time high was 2007, where the price was 265,000. We're up 20.5% over 2007. Let's take a look here at the single family attached market, the condos and the townhomes. Believe it or not, those units closings will be down this year. We're projecting they'll be down 4.1% compared to 2018. You can see we finished 2018 at 15,350. We project that they'll be down to 14,713. It's not a huge difference, and you'll see a little bit later in the presentation that the majority of that is coming from the new condos and townhomes that are not selling as quickly as the owners and the developers thought that they would. Average sales price for condos and townhomes right now through the end of September, $272,479 is the average sales price of a condo or townhome. We think that'll be up 4.2% compared to 2018 by the end of the year. And look at this, since 2017, the average sales price of a condo and a townhome up 118%. Let that sink in for just a minute. Up 118% since 2011. Since 2007, the prior all-time high before we went into the recession, sales prices are up 39.4%. This just takes single family detached and attached units and puts them all together. You can see here at the top, the blue line represents the total number of closings. The red bar represents single family detached. The green bar, single family attached, the condos and the townhomes. So total, we think we're going to go up about 200 closings total, pardon me, for all of Metro Atlanta, which is 0.22%. So for those who feel like there's a little bit of slowing going on in the market's not actually moving backwards. in terms of unit sales, it is just failing to move forward as fast as it's been over the last few years. You'll notice it's been kind of flat if you look at it from 2017, 2018, and 2019 in terms of total sales. Take a look at some other interesting statistics. Total days on the market. You can tell the amount of stress that's going on in the market as your total days on the market creep up. Right now, through the end of September, we're at 60 days total days on the market for the homes that are selling. We do not believe that we'll end the year at 60 days on the market. We think we'll end the year 65 days, 67 days, 68 days on the market. But the ones that are selling are still selling quickly. It's the ones that aren't selling that don't show up in the total days on the market that are ultimately problematic for the market. And we're getting into a little of that subject now. This chart shows the total number of expired listings in the market. We're projecting it'll be 17,400 expired listings. I want you to think about that, because you look back here, we have 88,000 closings. We have 17,500 listings that expired without selling. That's a fairly high percentage of the market. And we think the total expired listings will be 15.5% ahead of 2018 and 2019, which means there are a good number of sellers who are not satisfied with the way the marketing efforts on their home work, and it might give you and other agents in the market opportunities to help the sellers the second time around. Let's take a look at the withdrawn listings. Again, that number will be, we're projecting somewhere around 17,000. We're projecting that number will be up 12.3% over last year. So if you take the 17,000 expireds, the 17,000 withdrawals, that's 34,000. You have 88,000 closings, 34,000 expireds and withdrawals. So anybody who thinks there's not a certain level of stress in the market, it's because they're really not paying attention to what's happening in the market. And so for real estate agents who understand how to explain to sellers, who first of all understand what to do to get a home sold, and then understand how to explain it to a seller, there might be some very, very, very interesting opportunities for you over the next couple of years. Let's look at total inventory. As inventory grows, it becomes a little more difficult to sell houses. Certainly at some price ranges, houses are just flying off the market. At the higher price ranges, and I think if any of you are sitting there in the audience today and you've got a higher price listing, you're like, not quite as easy to sell now as they were a couple of years ago. And it's because inventory is growing. So we project that the total number of homes available for sale in Metro Atlanta, well, it's not, we don't project it. What it was at the end of September was 23,990, which is up 18.8% over the same month in 2019. So inventory is continuing to grow. And when inventory grows, it puts pricing pressure on the market. It puts condition pressure on properties, meaning, hey, if a house doesn't look like it is 2020, then more than likely the seller will have a little bit of an issue selling it. This is a great little chart for those of you who've heard me talk about inventory before. I have a little bit of a different way of calculating inventory. Economists will say that a market is balanced when it has 6 months worth of inventory, but that means that it will take 6 months to sell all of the inventory in the market if no new inventory comes on the market. And I would buy that number around 3 months. But if it takes 5 or 6 months for a seller to sell their property, they're not going to feel like the market is balanced. So we use a different definition, and we call a seller's market when there is less than 4 months worth of inventory. A balanced market, as you'll see here, when there's 4 to 5 months worth of inventory. And then a buyer's market is when there's more than 5 months worth of inventory. In this chart below, and we do have a little bit of a mistake on one of these bars that I'll show you. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to go in and fix it, or have somebody who's way smarter than me go in and fix it. But we have, if you'll notice, the purple bar represents the resale townhomes and condos. There's 1.9 months worth of inventory. These two black lines here sort of represent this is what would be a balanced market range here. It's probably a little lower and a little higher, but to show you where the balanced market is. The resale detached units, there's 2.5 months worth of inventory. That's the green bar. So both of those are in a seller's market. But look, when you go into the residential attached, the new construction condos and townhomes, that's represented by the red bar. That's 5.4 months worth of inventory. And then the new residential detached, so not the condos and the townhomes, but the new construction, 5.3 months worth of inventory. So both of the new construction types, the detached and the attached, inventory is increasing, which means if you're working with buyers out there, there might be better opportunities for them to get bargains on new condos, townhomes, and single family detached homes over the next 6 months than they have for the last couple of years. It's a very interesting opportunity when you look at the market. For those of you who look at this next chart thinking, oh my God, what is this? This is one of my favorite charts. We've been keeping up with it all the way since 2007. And each one of those different colors represents a price range. And so if we look at 2019, we're projecting that 2012 units in Metro Atlanta will close under 100,000. 31,345 will close between 100 and 250,000. 30,000 will close between 250 and 500,000. 6,000 will be in the 500 to 750 price range. 1,644 in the 750 to $1 million, and 1,338 in the over $1 million range. And this chart is so interesting to me because when you look at it, in 2011, there was 40%, 41% of the sales in Metro Atlanta were 100,000 or under. 41%. It's an amazing statistic when you think about it. Today, that number is 3%. So at all price ranges, properties are continuing to increase in value. Let's take a look at another interesting statistic here. 2011, which was the worst, it was the lowest market in the recession for Metro Atlanta. If you look at it, about 78% of all homes sold in Metro Atlanta were under 250,000. That number today is somewhere in the 47 to 48% range. So I always think this is a very interesting chart to help me and my clients understand, what's happening to overall pricing in Metro Atlanta. When somebody's looking for a condo or townhome under 100,000, they shouldn't be surprised when they have a hard time finding one, because there's only going to be 2,012 of those that'll close in the entire Metro Atlanta market. Let's switch gears and look at things more from a national level. We were looking at things at a local level for the last 10 minutes or so. And Realtor.com did a survey recently of active home buyers who are out in the market actively looking for homes, and 83% say there's going to be a recession either in 2019, 2020, 2021, or 2022 or later. 53% think it's going to happen this year or next, 14% the following year, 15% 2022 or later. Not trying to depress anybody, but I want everybody to understand, I think that buyers are having a news media induced idea of a recession. The definition of recession is only GDP contraction, or a GDP that is negative for 2 quarters. And they're saying that more than likely we will have a recession. You'll see in just a minute. We're going to look at some national economists' opinion of whether or not we'll have a recession. But they say the recession will probably be over before we even know it begins. So they expect it to be really a non-event. But look at this. 57% of that 83% who think we're going to have a recession believe it'll be the same or worse than 2008. It doesn't make any sense to me, because the housing market, the dynamics and the data behind the market indicate that would not be the case. And I'm going to show you some of that in just a minute. But it could be that some of your buyers who are waiting to move forward, some of your sellers who might be sort of trying to sell something that looks like it was built in 1992 and they're trying to sell it for 2020 prices. It could be that everybody thinks there's going to be a little bit of a market recession over the next year or two, and we need to help educate people as to what's really going on in the market. But 57% of the 87% thinks the recession will be worse than the 2008 recession. This is different surveys, 4 different surveys from national economists: a Pulsenomics survey, a Duke University survey of CFOs, National Association of Business Economic members, and then the Wall Street Journal survey of economists. This is when economists think we're going to have a recession. And you can see here that the overwhelming majority, with the exception being the National Association of Business Economics members, believe we're going to have a recession in 2020. So the reality is that there's a chance that the economy will slow down and not have positive growth for a couple of quarters, and then it will happen sooner than later. But look here, this is a chart that shows the appreciation of the average home in the U.S. during the last 5 recessions. And now notice in 2008, it was bad. Housing values went down 19.7% in 1 year. But look, in 1980, we had a recession. home prices went up 6.1%. In 1981, we had another recession. Home prices went up 3.5%. In 1991, prices dropped just a little bit, 1.9%, 1991. And then in 2001, prices went up 6.6%, even though we had a recession. And so there's certainly some reasons, I believe, that the economy, from a housing standpoint, the last recession we had was a housing induced recession, meaning it was the mortgage market meltdown and the fact that nobody had any equity in their homes that caused all the problems. And this is a very interesting chart. This is from CoreLogic, and it shows the percentage of homeowners who have loans who had negative equity share, meaning they owed more on their home than the home was worth. And in 2010, 2011, when we were at the height of our crisis, 25.3% and 24.8% of people, so a quarter of the people who had mortgages owed more on their house than it was worth. In first quarter of 2019, that number is down to 4.1%. So you don't have this over leveraging of homeowners in the U.S. Here's another interesting chart, a way to look at that same statistic that we just looked at, but in terms of real raw numbers. And this is the amount of tappable equity, meaning if somebody wanted to borrow money against their home or they sold their home, how much equity would be in those homes for U.S. homeowners to get. And in 2011, when the market was as bad as it ever was, it was $2.2 trillion worth of equity in homes. Today, that number is $6.3 trillion. So it's $6,300 billion. Think about that. That is a huge amount of money. And so the odds of us having real estate pricing doing this over the next couple of years is just about slim to none. And we need to make sure we're educating our home buyers and our home sellers so they understand and can make the best decisions. This is CoreLogic's projections of what's going to happen in prices in the U.S. over the next 12 months. Notice they say that home prices overall in the U.S. are expected to go up 5.2%. Home prices in the state of Georgia are expected to go up 4.2%. So it's looking good for us on both fronts. If we looked at the projected home price appreciation from 6 different sources, sorry, got a little cough coming, but this is, but this is a survey from the Home Price Expectation Survey, the Mortgage Bankers Association, Zelman and Associates, Freddie Mac, the National Association of Realtors, and Fannie Mae, and all of them project positive appreciation 2019, 2020, 2021, and 22, as far out as they project. All the numbers are positive, and I think we should all be encouraged by that. And here are the reasons why. These last 3 slides are very important slides. Historically, the average U.S. family spends 21.2% of their monthly income on their housing payment. And notice that as of today, that percentage is 15.7%, which means that the average American home owner spends less as a percentage of their income today, even though house prices are much higher than they were a few years ago, than they have historically. That is a huge slide, in my opinion. And it's because of what's happened with mortgage rates. I was looking just in the last couple of days and saw home buyers being quoted 3.5% 30-year fixed mortgage rates. They haven't been that low in several years, and I don't remember them going below 3%, but maybe once, and they went just a little below 3%. And so mortgage rates today are a screaming deal. You can see that this time last year, mortgage rates nationally were 4.5%. Sorry for the beeping in the background. Were 4.5%. They went up closer to 5% toward the end of the year or the beginning of this year, and now they're down at 3.64% nationally. If you ever wonder why the national numbers always look different than the local Georgia numbers, it's because Georgia's foreclosure laws are so favorable that lenders are willing to loan money at a little bit lower rate. And then let's take a look at one more graph before we call it a day. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you. I wish I could be there in person. Unfortunately, I'm halfway across the country from you today. I'm in Salt Lake City doing work with some clients out in that area. But this is what's called the Housing Affordability Index. It is issued on a monthly basis by our trade organization, the National Association of Realtors. If you've seen this before, then you understand how it works. If not, let me give you just a little basic understanding. It shows you let's start back here. If the number were to be 100, then that would mean that the average income of the average American family was equal to what it needs to be in order to purchase the average priced home. So if we look back here in 1990, we can see the number is 108. And that means, or that meant, that, that the average American household earned 8% more money than was required to buy the average priced American home. And so if we look at it from 1990 to 2008, the average American could less afford the average priced home than the average American today. So today that score is 150, and it's probably going to continue to climb because this was issued about a month ago and interest rates have continued to drop. And so today the average American family makes 50% more money than what is required in order to purchase the average house. So in a lot of cases, buyers and even real estate agents that I talk to, they think that homes are not affordable for the average American home buyer. And that is just simply not true, because the average American home buyer makes 50% more money than they need in order to buy the average American home. So try that on for size just a little bit. If I was there with you, I would collect your information and I would offer to send you a copy of all of these slides. I am totally happy for anybody in the REMAX Center family to use these slides. But if you want to, just make sure and ask Joanne to get you a copy of the slides. I hope she's there this morning. Hi, Joanne. If you're there, I love you. If you're not there, sorry, that was goofy for me to say that in front of the group. But just ask Joanne to get you a copy, and I'll make sure she gets a copy of all of these slides in PDF form. And you have my permission to use them any way you want to, as long as it'll help you better educate your buyers and your sellers, make more money. Then it will make me very proud. In closing, I'd like to say, hey, thank you so much to Tina and to Patrick and to Faye and all of our illustrious leaders for all they do to make REMAX Center a great place for all of us to work. I've only been with REMAX. I've been licensed for 20 years, and I started my very first day in real estate with REMAX. And I will tell you, Pat Finnick is a great friend of mine. He is a wonderful mentor, and you have no idea how much I appreciate him providing me and my team and my family a great place to call home, because it really makes a huge difference in our ability to produce and make money for myself, for my family, for all of my girls going to college. Thank you very much. See you later, everybody.